Good afternoon, everybody. We are back finally from hiatus. Welcome to another episode of Drop in the Glove, the long-awaited follow-up episode to last week. It's been a long time. We did Aaron Ward on Friday, and then it's just been gone. We went silent. We went zero dark 30, and that's mostly my fault. And we'll get into that in a second with Tim. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, unexpected hiatus. I was worried about you. I know you. I like you to check in at least once a day, and that wasn't happening this week. You were traveling. You were on the move. You were incommunicado. So it's good to see your face. And yeah, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, and this might get a little involved because I feel like I'm getting attacked. I feel like someone's out to get me. And I'm not even kidding. It's just been one thing after the other continues to happen in my life. And I don't know why. Either someone has a hex out on me, the devil's trying to get me. I don't know. I'm doing too good. They're trying to bring me down. But let's get into it. So everybody knows I got attacked by a pack of deer, 3 weeks ago? A month ago now? So that was fine. That's par for the course for me. I hit animals. I kill animals. Animals try to kill me. That's the relationship that I have with that part of nature. The van went in to get fixed. Perfectly fine. We have the little van. I'm using my boss's little green Hornet to drive around. Everything is fine. I am getting ready to get the big van back on Friday. Very excited. My wife is super pumped. Everybody has a seatbelt. Everybody has this place for their butt. On Wednesday, she tells me the little van's running a little ragged. It's shaking when I drive. The left side's grinding. I'm like, okay, well, brake pads, rotors, maybe something else. Let's get it in and check it out. And what I mean by get it in, I take it to my buddy's house. We jack it up on his forklifts and we go to work. So I did that on Thursday. So I go there Thursday afternoon. I bought the rotors. I bought the pads before I went, just in preparation, because there's nothing worse than getting a car jacked up, taking the tires off, and you go, oh, I need to go get this and that and the other. I can take stuff back. That's easy to do. So we get it up. Of course, the front left completely locked up. The calipers were seized. The brake pad was not releasing off of the rotors, so the rotors chewed up. The pads are completely gone. So we replaced that whole assembly. We lubed up the calipers, got them flowing nice. It takes a long time. It's a labor of love, but it takes a long time. I replaced the pads on the left. The back's fine. So I get to replace the back, or I get to take back the back pads and the rotors of the front and the back. Good. Save a couple $100 there. But notice the tires are worn. One has like a little golf ball size bump out on it, Tim, which I didn't know was a thing. So you would look at the tires spin from behind, and in one spot there'd be like a little boop, and you would watch it rotate, and you'd put your finger up so you could see that little time that space would get smaller. And it's like, that's interesting. I don't know how that happened. So I needed to get new tires, put everything back together. I need to go pick up my wife. She was staying at her parents because we don't have another car. Get it all buttoned up, driving back. The car runs like a dream. I was driving to Chicago on Saturday, so everything was good. Get the big van back on Friday. I drive to Chicago the next day. Life is good. We have our cars back. Pick my wife up, pick my kids up. She's with them. They're with them. So 5 kids, 1 wife, 7 seats in the van. All the seats are full. Pull out of her parents' neighborhood. We get about a mile down the road. And I'm going to be nice here because I know it's a family show. Some woman pulls out in front of me, and I'm going north on M22. It's a 2-lane road, 55 miles an hour. She pulls out. She's looking north for traffic, so she's not looking in my direction. She's pulling out from the water side, so on the right side. I'm in the right lane. She starts to pull out, and she's still looking north to make sure no cars are coming. I'm assuming she's just going to continue into her lane because it's clear. There's no cars coming. She looks south, my way, sees me, and instinctively, you would think, oh, she's going to drive to get out of my lane. She stops, Tim. Directly in my lane, stops. And I'm 35 feet from her, 40 feet from her. I'm very close. And I start to honk and apply the brakes because there's still plenty of time for her to clear my lane and get into her lane. Finish her turn. That's all she had to do. She just stops like a deer in headlights. And my wife starts screaming like a banshee. And everything slows down. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive in her lane and go around her. Easy peasy. I wasn't going crazy fast because I was still breaking in the brakes and rotors and stuff, and I didn't want to smoke them out. I go around her, literally, Tim, as I'm driving around her, she starts to go. And so she starts driving into her lane, which I now occupy. So I have to slam the brakes on, avoid her, which I don't know if I did, because that's the ending of this story. I avoided her. There's construction on M22, so they have these huge signs saying, oh, construction the next 2 months, M22 to M72. I buried the back end into the one of those big 4x4 posts. I go off the ditch, face nosedive into the other side of the ditch. It's a small ditch, but it's a small Toyota Sienna. Bury the front of my van into the ditch and then skid 20 to 30 feet into someone's front yard, which was vacant. So it wasn't like I was tearing up good green grass. Terrible, terrifying, terrible, all the verbs you want to come up with, adjectives. I make sure everyone's okay. Instinctively, I turn to see where the car is because I'm pissed. I'm like, what are you doing? You could have killed us. The car hesitates, and I'm in my head. They're going. They're not going to stay at the scene. And sure enough, she takes off, gone,
Wow.
gone. And so I don't know if I hit the car. I think I did because my front end up high has damage, and I don't know how that would have gotten damaged. My passenger side mirror has damage, and I don't know how that would have gotten damaged in the whole grand scheme of things. And so I almost am certain I hit her. So she caused the accident. It was a hit, and then she runs. And we don't know how to get in touch with her because she was pulling out of a random house that's a VRBO. And the owner of that house says, yeah, we don't have renters in the winter, so it should be completely vacant. So I think she was just turning around. They have a horseshoe driveway and gone. The slimy, greasiest move someone could do. It's just like a complete, utter lack of humanity for anybody. Oh, it was just terrible. The woman behind me pulled in and she saw the whole thing. So she told the police officer her story and she's like, yeah, there's nothing you could have done. Like it was just completely that woman's fault. And she said she was a young Hispanic girl. So I'm guessing she got scared, she panicked, and then she just took off. So that was just the second instance. I don't know if you want to stop here.
It's just real quick. So you had what, 5 girls in the car plus your wife?
Yeah.
Everyone was okay. No one hurt. No damage. Anything?
No. Well, damage to the car. Car's totaled. The baby slept through the whole thing, amazingly. Kids are so resilient. Everybody was fine except for my oldest, Ava. It's funny how she processes things. We crashed. I turned around. Everybody okay? Everybody okay? She's like, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Like 5 to 10 minutes later, she broke down and started to cry. I think that she realized like what just happened and what could have happened. Because my wife was in theatrics as well. She was just like, I would have ran right into the side of that car. It would have been so bad. And she's not great under pressure. And so it was, yeah, she wasn't not hurting it, but not helping the situation. So it was, it was an interesting kind of minute. And then of course I had to drive to Chicago. So I got to get a rental car and I got to do this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, okay, like it was just another drop of the things I needed to do. But I don't know, police came, we figured it out. We got a tow truck back to the tow place and I don't even know what car I'm going to get. Like we still got to do that side of the equation, but it was like less than a week ago. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Terrible drivers.
It's very scary, and it's so like crappy that she did. First of all, the driving decisions, and that's one of those things. Some people are just bad drivers and they panic. She just made bad decision after bad decision. But the one of driving away, that's not a driving decision. That's a person. That's a human moment. And she showed her colors. That's so crappy. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's horrible.
It's okay. And the worst part about it, I can just replace the brakes. I just did the rotors. I just did work on it. Put my time, my sweat, my energy in there. I'm never going to get that money back. But it is what it is. The van's at my house now. I think I'm going to hold on to it and try to do the body work or get a new body kit on it so my kids can drive it. But that's just like the second part of this terrible week.
Oh, it's not over yet?
Tim, let's tip the iceberg. So that's Thursday. So I get home Thursday night and I go through this ordeal. We go to dinner at her parents' house. Okay, great. Thank you. Get home, go to put wood in my boiler. And the boiler is completely shut down. Water all over the floor, black
Your
water.
precious boiler.
My precious boiler. I kid you not. And I'm just like freaking out. I don't know what's going on. Lo and behold, I made a huge user error. I did not clean out the ash tray as promptly as I should have. I think I had gone a week without cleaning it out. I figured it would be okay, but it wasn't. And so I kept jamming wood in there because I would, wake up in the morning, taking the kids to school, going to this or that, the other. I would throw a bunch of wood in and then leave. I'd come home from work, throw a bunch of wood in and go home because we were busy that week. The ash built up. And with these boilers, you need constant airflow to keep the fire going. Constant airflow. And this is the downdraft boiler, so it sucks air down. And if it doesn't have the ability to suck the air down to keep the fire going, it can't burn off all the bad stuff that the wood has. Moisture, soot, all those things that you need to burn off. Smoke. Well, the air intake was blocked. So the fire was going, but it was like smoldering. You know what I mean? And so it won't go out, but it won't produce a really hot flame. And so what that does to the wood is it just heats it up enough to release the moisture. Well, the moisture rises to the top of the boiler and it sits there and then it drips down. And it drips down into the boiler, got into the exhaust fan, and water finds a way. Everybody who knows has dealt with water finds a way, and it found a little crack in the exhaust fan and it dripped onto the floor. All day until I showed up around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And I'm not kidding. My whole mechanical room was black. It had seeped out into the garage on the floor. And there's no good way to get rid of it. So I'm sopping it up with cardboard. I'm sopping it up with anything I could. Insulation, like just random stuff. I'm like, get this stuff off my floor. That's step one. Step two is trying to get the boiler functioning because now it has this soot on the top of the boiler. So anytime you start the fire, it releases all that moisture. And so that night I tried. And I was starting to just get frustrated. I had a speaking engagement in Chicago the next day or 2 days from then. And so I'm just like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? I just gave up, went and got a rental car, drove to Chicago. I said, I'll punt and try to figure this out when I get home. I get the rental car because we're not even close to being done. I come home. I'm trying to get some sleep. Thunderstorms, Tim. Thunderstorms while I'm getting the rental car. I get home. The roof is leaking in my house and it's just coming down everywhere. So I'm trying to sleep and I'm sleeping in the basement because it's already so late. I was there at the house till 2 a.m. trying to deal with the boiler. And I was just like dog tired, picked up the car, just dealing with all this crap. I get home. I just want to sleep because I have to wake up in the morning and drive at like 5 a.m. to get to Chicago. Putting pots and pans all over my house, trying to contain this water because it's a torrential downpour. I just put this roof on 2 years ago, brand new roof, but water finds a way, and I'm just trying to maintain composure. Trying to get the fire going in my house, and it was brutal. So anyways, I put pots and pans everywhere. I managed to get like 2 hours sleep, drive to Chicago, do my talk, whatever, and go return the rental car, which is at the airport, jump into my car. It's now 9:30. I'm starting to feel like garbage because I hadn't eaten.
What night are we now?
This is now Saturday night.
Okay.
So I haven't eaten in a while. I had one meal that day because I did a talk and then I just wanted to get on the road. So I didn't have a chance to stop and eat. I was just trying to get home. I want to look at the boiler again to get that fixed. The workers are complaining because it's cold. I'm like, I'm going to get you set up. Everything is good. I drive home. I park my rental car at the airport. I get back into my car. I'm halfway home and I get pulled over by the police. I'm like, what the hell? I wasn't speeding. I'm driving my boss's little dumper of a car, like a VW 4-cylinder manual diesel that has 356,000 miles on it. It looks like a go-kart. Cop pulls me over, comes to my window. He's like, license and registration? I'm like, I have no clue where the registration is in this car. I just got it the other day. I don't know I don't know where the insurance is. What can I do for you? Use your brake lights out. I go, give me a break. Okay. I'm like, I don't know where anything is. I apologize. I got into an accident. That's the best I can do. So he goes back to his cruiser. I'm digging through everywhere. I managed to find something to give him. He didn't give me a ticket, but just the hassle of getting pulled over was just enough to almost throw me over the edge. I go home. Now we're into Sunday. I break down into a flu. I could not leave bed. I could not move. I could not function. I literally, Tim, I got to bed on the Saturday, probably around 10 p.m. because I went to the new house to try to get the fire going again. Started the fire, just a shower started raining from the top of the boiler. And I'm starting to feel like garbage. I'm like, screw this. Not going to deal with it. Just took all the logs, put them in the wheelbarrow, rolled them outside, dumped them on the ground, and just shut the boiler down. I said, I'll kick this curb to another day, kick this to another day. Go home, get in the wrapper, 10:30 p.m. I did not wake up until like 8 p.m. the next night. I was just completely dead to the world. Didn't go to church, didn't do anything, completely shut it down. I was just dead to the world. If someone would ask for me, I would say no. My phone was off, everything was off. It was amazing. Did the same thing on Monday, but instead of in my bed, I just went down in my living room because I felt like I'd be more productive, and I wasn't. I just laid on the couch on Monday and did absolutely nothing. Didn't check my phone, didn't talk to anybody. That was it. I had another talk to go to on Tuesday. I had to drag myself off the couch and get into an airplane and go to Savannah, Georgia for a talk. I get there, everything's fine. Savannah's beautiful. I do the talk to this business group. On the way home, thunderstorms in Chicago. And I'm getting prompts on my phone. Rebook your flight, rebook your trip. And I'm so out of it, I didn't even think of anything. I'm just looking at the weather currently. And I'm like, everything's fine. What are they talking about? Chicago got blasted with thunderstorms yesterday, which was the day I was supposed to fly home, which was Wednesday. So Tuesday was relatively unscathed. I got in, I did my talk, everything's fine. I wake up Wednesday morning and I go to the airport and my flight gets delayed. And my flight gets delayed. And my flight gets delayed. I got there at 8:30 in Savannah. I did not leave Savannah until 4 p.m. And then I get to Chicago and my flight was supposed to leave at 8:30. Delayed. Finally, we get on the plane, which is a big deal. We're in the plane on the tarmac, and we're just kind of sitting there. Everybody's feeling good, but everybody's still a little antsy. The captain comes on, and this is now 10:30 at night. So I know there's a curfew where you have to land in Traverse City because it's a smaller airport that we have to hit. We can't land, I think, after 1 a.m. I'm like, we're getting pretty close. Like we got to take off. We lose an hour. It takes about 40 minutes. It's getting close. The captain comes on and he goes, yeah, I just heard from the tower. I got some bad news. Apparently our flight path has been blocked. So there's a lot of planes going west to east because of the thunderstorms, and everybody's flying in our flight path. So tower has just denied us access to that path. So now we are trying to find a new way to get to Traverse City from Chicago. I'm like, there's no other way. You have to go northeast. That's it.
Not
There's
that
no
far, yeah.
Yeah, you can't just go south and come in from the east going west. You can't do that. Then you're running into Detroit and you're running to those planes, and you can't go south and trying to loop back around and come east again. There's just no other way. So we sit on the tarmac in Chicago for another 30 minutes, and I'm just anticipating him saying, we've hit the curfew. We can't land in Traverse City. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go back to the gate. I just gotten a text from United saying, I'm sorry, here's a meal voucher. So I was like, great. They're just preemptively buttering me up for the flight cancellation. But I finally got a stroke of luck, and he's like, all right, we're on the go. We can go. And I got on the plane. I had already in the plane. We got in the air. We got to Traverse City. I didn't get home until close to 1 a.m., and everything was fine. And here I am now. So it's just been with the deer hit, the car crash, the boiler incident. And then on top of that, so here's another thing. I forgot to say this. I get home after the first trip, my sink stopped working in the kitchen. And so I was dog tired. I was working on the boiler in the house the second time to try to fix it. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I was starting to come down with the flu, and my wife goes, kitchen sink doesn't work. You got to snake it. I'm like, gosh, darn it. Really? She's like, yeah, it hasn't worked all day. You got to snake it. I didn't want to say anything because you were sick, but you got to do it before you go. I have to take everything out from under the sink, unplug the P-trap, get this snake in there and start cranking it, and it's super uncomfortable, and I'm too big to be under the sink, and I throw all the 25 feet down there, and nothing's working. I thought I had it done. I ran the dishwasher, went to sleep on the couch, like I said, slept like garbage. I left the next morning to go to the airport. My wife called me. Yeah, sink's still junk. And I still haven't fixed it because I just got home yesterday from Savannah. So I got to go home tonight and fix it. So it's just, there's still another thing I need to do, but it's been a trip.
I mean, you better hope that's the only problem waiting for you when you get home tonight at the rate that this is going. That's not too bad, all things considered. That's crazy.
One more thing to add insult to injury. I was just having a conversation with my wife. I think it was in Savannah. It was after my talk. It was the morning I was leaving in the airport. Life was still okay. I didn't realize all my flights were canceled. I was just talking to her. I'm like, man, I took a shower. I'm like skin and bones right now. I haven't eaten in 4 days. And she laughs and she goes, no, you're not. And I go, what the hell does that mean? And I go, you think I'm fat? Like, what does that laugh for? Is that necessary? And she goes, well, like, you're not skin and bones. Like, come on. And I'm just like, I thought I looked pretty skinny. And I just in my head played the reversal card. I'm like, what if she would have said to me, oh, I'm just skin and bones right now? And I go, no, not even close. No, I don't think so. Not even close. How would that have gone down? What if Julia says that and you go, I don't think so, honey. No. Let's be honest. You're not. Like, it's
Yeah.
mean.
It's the double standard. Julia called me a stink rat the other day after my workout. I'm like, if I called you that, I'd be on the couch for a week. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. What a week. Do you feel, I mean, you have such a huge family and a lot of that stuff involved all of them, but it seemed like you must have felt like you were going through it alone. All that travel stuff, the sickness stuff.
It's bizarre how you just like completely check out of your life. I haven't seen my kids in 5 days because I had to leave early this morning because I had to go to work and I had other things to do. And I haven't seen them. So it's just been bizarre where, yeah, you're completely detached from real life. It's weird. But yeah, I don't know. You had an interesting thing happen to you too. Someone robbed the bank by your house, Tim. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's actually a Fifth Third Bank, which is a Michigan one, right? Right down the street from me. It's like a block over. And Julia's in this Facebook group of our community. There's a bunch of there's probably 20, 30 condos and double that with apartments. And there's a Facebook group of just people who live there. And I'm not in it. She's in it. And she kind of lets me know when there's stuff going on. There's a bank right around the corner that was robbed the other day at like 4:30 in the afternoon, right in the middle of the day. And there's a picture that someone shared from the police website or something of just a tall white man in a mask and hoodie walking through our parking lot after having done that. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And she keeps like bringing it up like, oh man, like who do you think it was? And why did they do it? And what were they looking for? And I just like, stuff happens around town, like whatever. And we live in a nice neighborhood, but it's still a city, things are, there's crime, there's stuff like that. Don't think anything of it. Maybe that was Saturday. So on Monday, we're both working from home. She works from home on Mondays. I have my headphones in. I'm up at my desk. She works downstairs off the kitchen. She comes in and she's like, hey, the police are here. And I was like, what? She got there's 2 detectives downstairs. They want to talk to us. And I was like, okay. So I go downstairs to like down by the garage where the entrance of our building is to, 40 something detectives. And I've obviously spoken to police officers before in my life, but never in the capacity of someone investigating a crime. Like the only time I've come close to that is getting pulled over for speeding. And I'm like, in that, I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, oh, what if he thinks I did something else? Like, I never had experience like that. So and I can tell one of them, the second I opened the door, he's sizing me up because he knows I kind of look like that I'm just a tall white guy that's a block away from the bank. Like I fit the description. They didn't say anything about, they didn't ask me where I was or my name or anything like that. So I don't think they suspected me, but I know that he at least made the connection that like, hey, you kind of look like the picture. But they came to our door because they were going door to door to everyone that had a Ring camera to see if we had any footage that might help them of like the time and place where the guy was walking by. And we do, but it's not connected because we've only lived here. Right. So
of course.
So we've only lived here 2 months and the Wi-Fi doesn't reach. I was asking about a Wi-Fi extender. It's not working. So Julia's like, it's just not working. I'm going to unplug it till we figure it out. And I tell them that. I'm like, hey, I know I matched the description and our Ring camera is not set up. Sorry, I can't help you. They're like, oh, okay. So they didn't give me a hard time. I was a little nervous for like the rest of the day. I'm like, what did they come back? But he didn't ask my name. I don't know. It was fine. It was no big deal ultimately. And this stuff happens every day, but I've never seen anything like it. I've never experienced it.
You're going to get raided next week, just like bum rushed. It's going to be hilarious. That would be fun. Like that would be good content. It really would.
That would be content. Yeah. Hold on, guys. Let me just set up my screen. I want to get this on TV. What's up, guys? Tim here. Listen, if you've been listening to the show for a while, then you know that I have an adopted rescue dog named Levi. He was around 6 when I got him. He's 8 now, and he's the sweetest and most loving companion you could ever hope to know. Dog owners know what I'm talking about. You want the best for your pets to help them live as happily and healthily as possible. That's why we partnered with the Farmer's Dog. The Farmer's Dog makes feeding real healthy dog food easy and convenient, and your dog will absolutely love it. Levi is obsessed, and he's been licking his bowl clean every day. The Farmer's Dog makes and delivers fresh, healthy dog food right to your door. It's developed by vets, nutritionally balanced, and made from real meat and veggies to the same safety standards of human food. A healthy diet isn't just important for people. It has all kinds of benefits for dogs too, from healthier coat and skin to better breath, even easier digestion. Levi's energy has been so much better since making the switch, and he looks forward to mealtime in a way that he never has before. The package came in and everything was personalized with Levi's name. I mean it when I say these guys love pets the same way that you do. And now you can join the movement and get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/gloves. Plus, you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/gloves to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/gloves.
All right, let's get to some hockey stuff, Tim. We've talked too long. I warned you before the start of the show. My intro was going to take a long time. I'm sorry. I got that off my chest.
It's 25 minutes.
Much needed. It was a lot going on. I think people needed an update. I don't care if they want it or not. There's a lot going on. Yeah, let me know in the comments if I'm being a baby about it. It just feels like someone's got it out for me. All right, moving on. Playoff picture, Tim. It's starting to crystallize. Teams are solidifying spots. Teams are getting eliminated. It's becoming more clear who's going to be in and out of the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference. I think we have our 8 there. But in the East, things are still up for grabs. The Caps, the Leafs, the Canes, they've all officially clinched. The biggest change, Tim, in the Eastern Conference, the Panthers have fallen to 3rd in the division. And in 1st, ding dong, guess who? It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. The team who desperately needs to win the division. I don't think they've won the division in 20-some years. It's been a long time since they've held the top spot in that division. The Bruins reigned supreme for a long time. The Tampa Bay Lightning have reigned supreme. The Florida Panthers have had their moments. Now it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have a 3-point lead on the Tampa Bay Lightning, a 4-point lead on the Florida Panthers. They have one game played more than the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it's their division to lose at this point. They hold control. If they win out, they obviously win the division. What do you think, Tim, is going on in Toronto right now? Would this be huge for them to win this division? Because don't look now, who's their matchup in the first round?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like any other year, this would be huge because we talk about this every year. Everyone knows they've always run into Boston, Tampa, Florida, and just not gotten by. And so winning their division gives them a chance to face against one of the wild card teams. And if it ended up being Montreal or Columbus or Detroit or even the New York Rangers, any of those teams that are technically still in the mix, you would love that matchup for them. Like, okay, finally. And then the Panthers and Lightning just beat the crap out of each other. And then Montreal and Toronto can just maybe win the second round too. And finally, we get to see something we've been waiting 8 years for. But the one team that's going to give them a hard time, it's a matchup nightmare, is the Ottawa Senators. And it's even more true after the moves they made at the trade deadline. So the Senators now are firmly in that playoff spot. They're technically having clinched, but the Vegas odds are like 99.5%. Like they're in. They're in, barring a huge meltdown, which they're not going to do. So you have to be excited for Toronto to win their division, and you have to like that matchup more than Florida or Tampa, just because Ottawa is still a wild card. You don't really quite know what you're going to get from them, but that's a tough team, and it's a team that's well built to match up against Toronto's style of play. So I don't think how much less nervous I am, even if you win the division.
Yeah, honestly, I would rather play Tampa Bay if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs. You slayed the Dragon. You beat them last year. Things are good. You seem to have figured them out for the most part. I think they're a lot weaker on the back end, even though they brought McDonough back this year and he's been playing well. They still lost Sergachev. There's been some injuries on the back end. Chernek's not the same guy he was when they won the Cup. There's a lot of holes there. They still have a formidable forward group, but their back end is nowhere near it should be. But then when you look at the Ottawa Senators, who would you rather play? And this is obviously the question the Leafs are facing. A veteran team who knows how to win, but with all things considered, they're on the downward side of their peak. They're trying to hang on to the glory days that they once had. Or would you rather face an up-and-coming team that is super excited to be in the playoffs, that is just gung-ho to be getting the chance to play in the playoffs, and then they're playing their rivals, and they have some veteran depth in Claude Giroux. They have some of those intangibles, and then they have guys who have just shown they can star on the biggest stage, shine in Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, big pieces like that. And oh, by the way, they have a goaltender who's arguably one of the best goaltenders in the NHL when he's on his line as Ullmark. So it's a scary proposition. And if I'm Craig Berube and I'm Brad Trevelyan, I don't know what the answer is. We obviously have a terrible history with Tampa Bay, but do we really want to have that pressure to go up and play our little brothers down the road? And they're going to be just totally amped up to play us. And we can't compete with them physically. I know we got Scott Lawton and we got some big bodies on the back end. You can't compete with Tampa or Ottawa physically. I don't think you can. You got Dylan Cousins, who they brought in the Josh Norris trade. He is a moose. You had Brady Tkachuk, who's just, no one can handle him. Canada had their best players trying to defend him, and he just walked right through them. It wasn't even close. He did what he wanted in that tournament. It's an unenviable situation if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs. You win the division, and you still end up maybe with a worse matchup had you come second or third. It's a bizarre situation. I wouldn't want to play Florida first round. Let's get that out there. But if Florida wins the division and Toronto plays Tampa Bay, I think they would be in a better spot than if they had to play Ottawa. Because I don't want to play Ottawa. I don't.
Well, there are no easy matchups for sure, and Ottawa is going to be a nightmare for all the reasons you just talked about. But I'd still rather play them than Tampa. I just think Tampa, at the end of the day, it's a team full of winners. They've all done it. You have Kucherov in his prime. You have Vasilevsky, Point, Hedman, like the depth. Ryan McDonough is playing great hockey right now. Like I don't want to play that group. I think Tampa is arguably the team in the East right now for me. So yeah, but Ottawa is just going to be a matchup nightmare for them. And no one has an answer for Brady Tkachuk, but I think the Leafs are not even close. You know what I mean? Like they're at the bottom of the poll for having a response for that. So it's not easy either way. And I know it's hard not to, like, those guys are trying to win every night, but it's hard not to pay attention to that and start thinking about at this point of the season, guys are starting to think about who they're playing against. And the coaches are starting to plan a little bit for who they're playing against. And it's just impossible not to. They're human beings.
Oh, absolutely. I think you can make a good reason to state that the matchups are set in the East. I think it's pretty apparent that Carolina and New Jersey will play each other. I think Tampa and Florida, if Toronto holds, will play each other. I think Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal or the Rangers or the Blue Jackets will play the Capitals. It's not too far-fetched to state all of those. And if you're Toronto, I don't know. I don't know, Tim. Talk about just embarrassing. If you win the division, you have this terrific season, everybody's playing fantastic, everybody's healthy, and then you get just whacked by the Senators from down the road. Great travel. But what matchups in the first round that would be? Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Ottawa. Talk about just geographical matchups. That would be incredible, incredible hockey.
And we won't go down this road today, but it would be fun to think about the off-season implications of Toronto losing to Ottawa in the first round. Imagine
Mitch Marner goes to Ottawa, or in free agency. Oh my gosh!
So you mentioned the second wild card. So right now it's pretty much a race between Montreal and the New York Rangers. I think Columbus are still right there, but Vegas gives them like 10% or less chance. It's really between those two teams. And I think the biggest deciding factor right now, besides the fact that Montreal just keeps figuring out ways to win, but it's going to be the strength of their schedule. They had a huge win over Florida the other night. Nick Suzuki, 9 seconds left off their incredible play by Lane Hutson. I don't know how he did that with three guys on him like that.
Yeah.
Amazing. So they played Boston tonight, then Boston, by the way, is the last place in the East. I'm just going to say that. Boston tonight, then Philadelphia, Nashville, Detroit, Ottawa, Toronto, Chicago, Carolina. I would think 5-3 is probably what you expect to do there. And I think it's a very favorable schedule. But the New York Rangers play the Devil. They beat the Wild last night. That was a big win. But they have the Devils, Tampa, Flyers, Islanders, Carolina, Florida, and then Tampa again. Those are mostly all playoff teams, and most of those teams have something to play for, whether it's positioning or whatever. So, like, that's not going to be an easy schedule. So I think it's going to be Montreal versus Washington in the first round.
Which would be so fun. Everybody wants Montreal in the playoffs. Everybody wants the Rangers too. The original 6 teams are fun in the playoffs, but we haven't seen Montreal in the playoffs since, I think, the bubble. So it would be really great to get them back in. And you mentioned Nick Suzuki. We don't give this kid enough props as we should. He should have been on the Four Nations Cup team. He's an incredible player. And boy, oh boy, I think I shaded that pick for captaincy for Montreal just because he's not as tall as I like my captains to be. But he's a hell of a hockey player. He is so incredibly clutch in clutch situations. He scores the game tying goal last night. Then he scores the overtime winner. It's just amazing what he's done with Montreal Canadiens this year. That kid has it. And then you pair him up with Cole Caulfield, who's just a born goal scorer, and Slafkovsky, who's a big-bodied winger who can get to places those guys can't. It's a hell of a first line. Dangerous first line. And I'm not saying they'll beat the Capitals, because the Capitals obviously are much better. They got 26 more points. They're just deeper. They have more veterans. Everything, all the intangibles, they got it. They're going to give them a hell of a run. And there's nothing like playoff hockey in Montreal. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a very soccer-esque style. And to have Ovi in that environment, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. But I hope Montreal can get in, because that would be just great for hockey as a whole. All right, moving on. Sam, what else are we talking about?
Well, one more quick thing on Montreal. One of the things we kind of bagged them on is not having like a great bottom six. It's a lot of bigger guys who are like Dvorak and Gallagher and Anderson and Jake Evans and Armia Pizzetta. But all of a sudden you get to the playoffs and those are the guys that you want in your lineup. And all of a sudden what was a hindrance to your ability to compete is now an asset. At least possibly. I don't watch all of the games, and maybe someone would tell me I'm wrong, but I want Josh Anderson in playoffs. I want Brendan Gallagher. I want Joel Armia. And all of a sudden, those slower, bigger, physical guys become something that helps you win. So just something I thought I'd notice.
Listen, Gallagher's been playing great hockey. He's been playing fantastic the last couple weeks, month, even the whole season. You have to him. Yeah, he's been playing great. Dvorak's been playing solid hockey. He's a good, just stay-at-home third-line centerman, and he can put points on the board. So those guys are very valuable. Their fourth line, they're not great. I like Armia. He does a lot of things, but Pizzetta, we know how Pizzetta is, and Jake Evans is okay. But yeah, they're serviceable. This team is just all about their first and second line. That's where their power lies. They need to continue to lean on that, continue to lean on the power play, which has been very, very solid for them this year. And I don't know. They won't beat Washington, but I could see them taking a game or two just to make it fun.
Okay, in the West, just like with the East, there are three teams that have clinched so far. That's the Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, and the Vegas Golden Knights. And pretty much like the Metro, there's really no change in the top three for either the Pacific or the Central. It's the same team we've been talking about, for months, pretty much the whole season. The biggest story in the West is, of course, the St. Louis Blues. They are the hottest team in hockey. They have won 10 in a row. There's something like 14-2 since the Four Nations, something crazy like that. They beat the Avs the other day. That was a big matchup. They beat them 2-1, which I think was a statement win. But when you look at their schedule, and I haven't seen anyone else talking about this, you have to give credit for the Blues. But look at the teams they played over those 10 games. They played Nashville 3 times. 3. They played Chicago. They played Anaheim. So do you think there's a little bit of a mirage to this winning streak, or do you think this is a legit team that is going to be a tough matchup in the playoffs?
Well, I think there'll be a tough matchup just because they have a solid team. Like, who did we just talk about? The veteran-laden team, the Tampa Bay Lightning. This team has a lot of vets who have won the Stanley Cups and been in playoffs and played internationally, and their defense is just as old as can be, as old as dirt. But, yeah, I think there's one thing to say mirage, and it's not worthwhile to pay heed to this because they played some bad teams. They've still been winning, and the way they've been winning is just terrific. It's like Robert Thomas in those 10 games has 17 points. He's been playing lights out. The guy's playing all-star caliber hockey. The same with Dylan Holloway. He's got 15 points in those 10 games. So to say, we're beating bad teams, the way they're beating them is very systematically. They're not going out of their way. They're playing great hockey. Binnington's playing solid. This is a good team. I would be nervous to play this team in the first round, especially with the streak they're on and the history that they have in 2018. How can you not feel nervous like they've done it before? Maybe the streak just took a little bit longer to get this season. Now all of a sudden they're getting the feelies and they're playing great hockey. And when you have those guys, when you got a Thomas and a Buchnevich and you bring in a Holloway who's young legs and you got the Braden Shannon, the Kairos, it's unenviable. It's like, do I really want to play this team? You got Philip Broberg you brought in from Edmonton too. So there's some Stanley Cup caliber players on this team, and there's some young legs who can buttress them up. I don't know.
There's something
Scary.
to be said for getting hot at the right time too. And so Nick
Hmm.
Suzuki, for example, talked about just how special this group in Montreal feels, and he can feel like there's something happening here that they're building and they're all excited about because they're winning games at the right time, and it's going to going into the playoffs. I think St. Louis is a great example of that too, where you have good players, but they're hot and they're strong and they're confident and they're doing it at the right time. And I don't want to get into the matchup thing because we'll do a whole playoff preview in the coming weeks, but just because we're talking about it. What do you think will be a tougher matchup or a bigger chance of an upset? Montreal over Washington or St. Louis over Winnipeg?
Well, I think St. Louis. Winnipeg has no reputation of
Yeah.
being any good in the playoffs. Connor Hellebuck
Hellebuyck
has
especially. Yeah.
played atrocious. Just look at his numbers in the playoffs over the last 5 years. They're absolutely awful. So you cannot give them any benefit of a doubt. Whereas, the Capitals, they're Stanley Cup champions, been there, done that. Like they have that pedigree. So, and the Blues are different than I think the Montreal Canadiens. The Blues are a dangerous team who also have been there, done that. The Canadians are a bunch of young and up and coming kids who will be a feisty team, but beatable. So yeah,
Well,
telling
yes,
you,
but the Blue, how many of those guys have been there, done that? You got Bennington, which is huge, and he's a big game goalie. You got Colton Parayko. Like, who else is there from that team in 5 years ago that won the cup? Like, not many
Tim,
guys.
stop dumping on my point. Okay, let's
I'm
just
just
let it
saying.
lie.
I'm
Let's
just
just let
saying.
it be, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Buchnevich was there. Wasn't Kyrou was there? So
I don't think they were.
there's a good handful. Of Kyrou has been in the league longer than 5 years. Stop. Let's just let's just move on because I don't
Okay.
want to go down this road. It was
Well,
a
we
great
mentioned
point until you dumped on it.
we'll mention Lane Hutson. Let's talk about the rookies. This is kind of I think it's maybe the biggest Calder race in years. I don't
Yeah.
have off the top of my head, but so just for context, the month of March, Lane Hutson played 14 games. He had 15 points. Celebrini played 12 games. He had 11. Matvey Mishkov had 15 games. He had 12. Dustin Wolf had a sub 900 save percentage in 10 starts. So I think what you're starting to see is that a lot of credit to Celebrini, a lot of credit to Wolf, but I think it's down to Lane Hutson and Michkov for the Calder. And Celebrini should and will be the third finalist. But I think it's about the other two right now. And there's a little bit of recency bias there. But Lane Hutson now is the first defenseman to have 50 assists in a season, since 1986. He has 60 points. He's the 10th rookie to ever do it and the first one to do it in more than 30 years. I was 2 years old at the time, the last time someone did that. And just for context, here are some NHL defensemen right now, stars, Olympians, all-stars, who have never hit 60 points in a season, which Lane Hutson did in his rookie year. Aaron Ekblad, Shea Weber, Alex Pietrangelo, Charlie McAvoy, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Thomas Chabot, and now Lane Hutson has done that. So it's pretty impressive what he's doing. And he's doing it every night. You can see him getting better in real time.
Yeah, and he's not giving up chances. He's not getting scored on. He's +7 in his last 14 games. Usually when you're kind of leaning on your offense and you're cheating to get those points, you're dash. Look at Eric Carlson, 100 points, he was -1 million. But he could put up 100 points. Lane Hutson has been playing responsible defensively while also putting up historical numbers. He's an incredible player. I've been watching a lot of Montreal Canadian games lately just because I think it's a fun team to watch. They make some mistakes, which is enjoyable, but gosh, they have some good, fun young players, and they're having a good time playing, which is really neat. When their power play lines up, Hudson's just amazing to watch. The head fakes, yes,
Yeah.
and then he just manages to give it to the right guy. Yeah, Line for the one-timer. You got Suzuki on the back door. You got Cole Caulfield on the other wing. It's just an amazing power play, and it all runs through Hutson. He's good on the rush. He's making smart decisions. He's being a little more choosy with when he jumps into the play. He holds the blue line well in the offensive and defensive zone. I'm telling you, Tim, like he could turn out not to be the best defenseman ever, but a very, very solid defenseman for the next, like a Duncan Keith type player with a higher offensive upside, which is
See,
amazing.
it's interesting that you just made a comparison because I saw some chatter on Twitter yesterday that he basically he projects to be more like a Shane Gostisbehere type, where he's not going to be sustained elite defenseman over time, just an offensive guy that never quite becomes what you want him to be. But you just compared him to Duncan Keith, so I hope he is more like a Keith or Letang or that type of player.
Yeah, it's hard to get a sense of him, but there was, like we talked about Quinn Hughes a couple of years ago when he was a rookie. Oh, his offensive upside is terrific, but his defensive game is nowhere where it should be.
Yeah.
Lane Hutson will be whatever he wants to be at this point. He can be a one-trick pony and just be that offensive dynamo, but be terrible in his own end if he wants to. If he wants to put in the work and he wants to be a well-rounded defenseman and be an all-star in this league for a decade plus, he can be. Like he's already shown the progression this season. That's the great part. Like he would turn the puck over and try too much at the start of the season. The first 30, 40 games were littered with just turnovers, him getting stripped, losing the puck at his own blue line, getting his shot blocked. You don't see that anymore. He's making smart decisions. He's diving in when he needs to. He's making great entry passes. He's bringing the puck through the offensive zone when he can. And he's a great player, like just terrific. I wonder if opposing teams' wingers will be a little more cautious when they go out to the point, because you know he's going to juke you. You know what he's going to try to beat you instead of just diving out at him and going like a torpedo. Like just kind of slowly come out to him instead of rushing out at him like a bull. That's what he wants. He's like the Sedins. When I played, the Sedins wanted you to come at them. As soon as you came at them and were the aggressor, they picked you apart. It was their game. They'd sit there and, oh wait, come on. Datsuk was the same way. He wanted you to make the first move, and then he made you look stupid. And Datsuk, yeah, he was begging me to move my feet. He's like, I'm going to put it right through your feet, dummy. And he did. But boy, it's fun to watch this Lane Hutson kid.
So let's talk about the other kid, Michkov. And this is kind of in the context of the torch firing last week. We're all kind of saying, okay, what is he going to do when he's quote unquote out of the reins of John Tortorella, who I think did an admirable job. But again, he is who he is at this point, and Michkov has been basically unleashed since that point. So if you look at the course of the whole year, he's scoring points at 2.36 rate per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. So if he plays 60 minutes at 5-on-5, he's averaging 2.3 points a game. That's 28th among all forwards in the league with at least 500 minutes. For context, Macklin Celebrini is at 1.89. Connor Bedard is at 1.96 last year, and he's at 1.49 this year. Mishkov's at 2.36. So he's doing something that the other rookies forwards aren't doing. And you look at since the Four Nations break, he's the NHL leader at 5-on-5 points with 21. So it's not just setting up office on the power play and getting his bounces, which would be admirable on its own, but he's doing it at 5-on-5. He has 4 goals, 7 points in 3 games since Torts was fired. He has 11 points in his last 6. He is white hot, and I think he's kind of projecting himself to the top of the Calder race.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Lane Hutson, like you said, it's a very exciting race. I think the last 2 weeks will determine who the Calder Trophy will go to, but I feel like Lane has to really slow down to lose this Calder Trophy for what he's done as a defenseman, to put up those kind of points and to not drag Montreal in a playoff position, but just to get him positioned to make the playoffs first time in a long time. But what Michkov has done with the system that he's played under with John Tortorella for the most part of this season, it's pretty remarkable. And the handcuffs that were placed on him and the restraints and the minutes and this and that, he's had a hell of a season. And now the last 3 games since he's been uncuffed, set free, the rain's taken off him. I think he's gone from 16 minutes average on ice to now almost 20 minutes a game. And he's got, how many points does he have, Tim, in the 3 games since he's been without Torts?
7.
It's 7-3. Imagine that a whole season where you give him just free reign to go and just create. The last game versus Nashville, he had the 2 primary assists in both goals. No, sorry. The first goal, he was the primary assist because he made a beautiful move at the blue line, gives it over to Konechny, and Konechny dishes the Poling back door for the goal. Then he's the primary assist maker for Drysdale's game winner with like 6 minutes left. But he is the facilitator. He is that guy. He scores 2 goals the game before. He gets a goal and a couple assists in the game before that. He's playing great. He's a fun player to watch, and he's only going to get better. He's going to get more confident. He's going to get faster and stronger. And the good part with him is he will get some players to play with. When you look at the Flyers roster, they're good. But he's playing with Sean Couturier. He's playing with Noah Cates. He's playing with Konechny. Listen, they're great. Don't get me wrong. They're not. They're not guys he should be playing with. Let's be honest. He needs some talent. He needs a trigger man. He needs a setup man. He needs some guys who are as creative or as fast or as dynamic as him to really see his potential. It's like Kaprizov in Minnesota. He played with subpar players for a long time. And no offense to Ryan Hartman and Matt Zuccarello and these guys, once Kaprizov got like a Matt Boldy, once he got some guys who he could, really show what he can do with some good players, that's when you're like, damn, this guy's good. And he still doesn't have great players to play with. Marco Rossi's great, but he's a young centerman who needs some seasoning. He still hasn't played with elite players. But when you do give him some players to play with, it's going to be fun for him.
So one of the best parts about this time of year is not only the playoff race, but the NCAA hockey tournament. And then kind of the byfall of that, as the teams start getting eliminated, you start seeing guys signing their ELCs who have been obviously first, second, high round picks, and even guys who were unsigned that are finally signing, after their junior, senior year. So there's 4 teams remaining in the tournament. That's Denver, Western Michigan, Penn, and BU, which I haven't watched all the games. I can't believe BC and Michigan State are out of it. Crazy. Those teams are absolutely loaded. But now you're seeing guys from those teams and others like him finally join the NHL. So you had Ryan Leonard make his debut the other night against the Bruins for the Capitals. He started the game playing with Protas and Strome. Like, how is that for trust? And he's confident. Like, he had a huge hit on Jeff Veal. Like, he looked really good. Ovechkin met him at a BC bar, a couple other guys the night before the game, just to hang out, and pretty cool. Gabe Perreault, also a BC. He was second of a team in scoring. He was drafted by the Rangers in the first round. He made his debut last night. Beautiful play to Lafreniere, who just lost his feet and couldn't make the backdoor bury. I'm a little surprised. I don't know the rules on this in terms of eligibility. I thought maybe he wouldn't play for the Rangers just because they don't want to burn any time off his contract.
You don't. It's 9 games, so you get a 9-game window to come up and play. So these guys will not burn a year of their contract because they won't get their 9 games in. So they'll still be on their first year of their entry-level contract next year.
Okay, yeah. So even if there's 9-10 games left, he just won't play for all of them. If he's on the roster, does that matter?
No, it's games played. Yeah. So yeah.
And the other one I'll mention, I know there are others, including Taylor McCarr, who was a 7th-round pick, so he's not his brother, but he was also drafted by Colorado, who's playing in the AHL. But Jimmy Snuggerud of University of Minnesota made his debut with the Blues, and Coach Jim Montgomery was telling him just to shoot. So, like, these kids are joining playoff teams at incredible moments, and good for them to see. And we'll kind of see these guys be stars for years to come.
Yeah, and they will make impact, which is great because it's a huge benefit. It just goes to show you have to play in the NCAA. It's just the way to go. I don't know why, if you had a choice, Tim, you would go play major junior.
Hey, not all of us had choices, John. It's not about that.
Well, listen, if you have the option and you're a young hockey player, tell Michigan Tech, do it. We would love the opportunity to develop you, to just build you as a person, and then you can be drafted in the first round. We'll let you go, but gosh, how fun would that be? Michigan Tech. You can see my statue up there. It'd be incredible. All right, what else, Tim?
So we'll do some quick hits here. Let's start with the Jalen Chatfield hit, whatever you want to call it, the toss down, the fight. Last night, he will not face supplementary discipline about it because there's not really a rule for this, which is strange. And luckily, Connor McMichael wasn't hurt. But what's your take on this as a fighter?
It's already been decided, no discipline.
It was reported by Frank. I don't think the DOD did anything yet, but
if that's the case, it's a travesty. It's intent to injure, and it was just a gutless move. He pulled an MMA move. He swept the leg, like he flipped him over his hip with no helmet to a guy who, you're going to hurt him. I have no respect for that. I think it was just an ugly play. There's other adjectives I could use. There's other ways I could describe it, but it's just basically having no respect for your opponent whatsoever. It's a dirty play. I think he should be suspended for the rest of the season and the playoffs. It's funny. I'm going to Buffalo next week to see the Carolina Hurricanes play the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to fight him in the locker room. I'm going to go after him. We'll see how that, because I'm going to get a press pass. I know people. I'm going to go after him. And I'm going to hip toss him. And I'm going to choke his ass out. Right in their locker room after they beat the Buffalo Sabres.
Ristolainen style?
Yeah. I'll say that's for, what's his name, McMichael or whoever the hell he hip tossed. It's gutless. I'm not going to go after him, but I'm not going to be chummy with him. It's just a terrible, terrible situation. I don't know. No discipline. Nice job, George. What are we doing here? Intent to injure, not a hockey play. So insanely dirty, everybody can see it. No one's even trying to defend it. It was calculated. He grabs the arm, he plants the leg, and he throws him over his hip. And he could have just spiked his head into the ice.
And there are a lot of a lot of guys that intentionally bring players down to the ice rather than fight
Yeah,
them, including fighters that do that. Like they don't want to
yeah,
throw, they're hurt, they're done. There's ways to use their weight and balance against them and bring them down. No one gets hurt, but that's not what this was. And it was like at the beginning of the fight. It's not like he was. It's strange. There was I
it's
don't know
because
what it
he's
is.
a chicken and he's gutless, and it was just there's no part of this that is good. There's no way to defend this.
Yeah,
All my Hurricanes people in the Slack, there's no defending this. It was a disgusting non-hockey play. This guy should be ashamed of himself. He should be suspended this season with the playoffs included. We'll see you next year. Take care, comb your disgusting greasy hair.
Okay. Alex Ovechkin has scored again. It feels like he's scoring just about every night now. He's at 892,
Oh,
892 goals in the National Hockey League, which means
yeah.
he's 2 to tie, 3 to win. And you're getting to the point now where you're starting to think of, okay, which night is he going to do it? Against which goalie is he going to do it? Will he do it? Doing it at home versus the Penguins would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. We'll see. But and one of the cool things about this, and I don't follow this super closely, but they're taking some of the broadcasts away from the national media and giving it to the guys that cover the Caps, who have been doing it for most of his career, which I think is a really cool move. And when this happens, you're going to have to release some kind of statement, some kind of video, some kind of presser. People need to hear from you.
I don't need to talk about this crap. Everybody's documented that enough. It's great. The cool thing is the game's played with Gretzky. He's like 2 games behind Gretzky's total, so they could have it on the same amount of games, same amount of goals.
Amazing.
He's the greatest goal scorer ever. I've never once debated that, especially in this era where goal scoring is so hard. He's way better at goal scoring than Gretzky ever was.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feat. Good for him. And imagine if he didn't get hurt, Tim. He might be leading the league in goals.
Right.
At 39.
Yeah.
There's got to be something in the water in Russia. I don't know what it is.
There's something.
It's strange. Rhymes with, I'm not even going to say
it. Yeah, okay, last one. The New York Islanders head coach 2 days ago was asked about Anthony Duclair's play after the game. He described his play as, quote unquote, god awful and said, quote unquote, he was lucky to be in the lineup. So that was kind of going around of like, oh, geez, this guy. And again, he's been on like 9 teams in 9 years or something. So there's something here. So today it came out, a report on Twitter. It said that Patrick Roy said, wow, I'm reading this off the paper. Patrick Roy said Anthony Duclair had a long conversation this morning. It was a positive one. Duclair told Roy that he needed some time off to reflect, and that was agreed to. The Islanders will give him all the time he needs. John, enough said?
Listen, I know Anthony Duclair, and I don't want to besmirch him, but I'm going to say this like in the nicest possible way. How soft have we become as professional athletes that your coach criticizes you and you're having a down season? He just signed a 4-year, $14 million contract with the Islanders. Like he was a big pickup for them in the offseason. He's had a terrible season. He's been injured. He's only got a point every 4 games, 11 points total, 7 goals. You need some time to reflect? What? How is this? And again, it's a different world than I lived in. I would be embarrassed to ask my coach, can I have a couple days to process this? I really want to think about what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. You suck. You stink. That's what's going on. Instead of reflecting on stuff, go shoot some pucks in the puck pit. Go get on the ice and work on your game. Build a thicker skin. Dookie, let's go. So it's just, you're gaslighting me. That's what's happening. You want me to comment on this. He's my friend, okay? I'm embarrassed for him. I need some time to reflect. Are you kidding me? My goodness. It's just, am I the only one who gets annoyed by this stuff? You have to, Tim.
Yeah, everyone is. And then there's also the point being brought up for a guy who just keeps signing like 1 year, maybe 2-year deals and can't stick on a team. He's getting traded. He's getting bought out. And then Lou Lamoriello gives him a 4-year deal. And this is year 1 of it. So, yeah, not a good look for him for the Islanders. But, yeah, hopefully he's back. I don't know. He's obviously a talented kid. But I think one of the things, and I was reading about this maybe on Reddit or Twitter or something, but someone made the point, like, you have to stop expecting him to be a top 6 forward at some point. He never has been. He never will be. He's gonna surprise you sometimes with some good offensive skill, but at best, he's a productive third liner, and that's at best. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the problem is that you think, oh, right situation, right team, right coach, right line mates. This is a
Alex Galchenyuk.
yeah, and he's just not.
Nah,
So
he's a good hard worker. He skates, but gosh, he's soft as flipping butter. It's just like I could have told you. Listen, I had him in Arizona. They had a great rookie season. Him and Max Domi and Mikhail Bodker and OEL. We had a fun young team. He listen. I'm not gonna bury the kid. He's only 29. He's got a lot of room for improvement. But get on the ice, Anthony. Work through it, buddy. Don't just take some time to reflect. That's the problem with today's younger generation. Instead of trying to work through things and plow through it and embrace adversity, they want to shy away from it and work through it mentally and have other people tell them that it's okay. You're allowed to be garbage. It's okay to suck. Work through it. Embrace the criticism and then work through it and prove people wrong. You'll feel so much better than just going around it, getting someone else to tell you that you're good, and then going back to work that way. You don't get over things or get through things. You just put them aside and then get tapped on the head and then go back to where you were before. You don't improve. You stay at the exact same spot and potentially move backwards. So it's just.
can you imagine? Can you imagine? And I'm not going to dog on him specifically, but one of these kids dealing with what you dealt with over the last week, and who's waking up to put pots and pans and shoveling a boiler and all that stuff.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I have not had good. I don't want to get back into me, but it's just like it's too bad. Hopefully, he can find his footing next year and get back to work because he has the talent. The raw talent is there, but it's just not. He's not working for it right now. All right. Anything else, Tim?
No, we've gone over an hour. This is a long one, but it's the only episode this week, so I was glad to talk through all this stuff and catch up.
We're doing one tomorrow, though. Don't forget.
I won't be here tomorrow.
What the hell's wrong with you? We're only doing one this week?
I told you this. I said I'm off on Friday, but I can go Wednesday and Thursday. You said yes.
Is tomorrow not Thursday?
Today's Thursday.
My days are all out of whack. I might have to do a solo one tomorrow. Maybe I got an interview, last second call up from somebody. But anyways, that sounds good, Tim. Thank you for joining us, everybody. 1 hour. You're welcome. Maybe listen to it in 2 car rides if you need a little break. Hope everybody has had a great week. We will talk to you maybe tomorrow, but definitely next week. Cheers, everybody.